the cool thing about being a photographer is that you can take a piece of your imagination and make it real by taking a picture of it. But what stands between you and the realization of that imagination? All of this stuff, all those things have numbers attached to them, right? F-stop, shutter speeds, lighting ratios, which is what we're going to talk about. Start with your main light. Start with one light. Build your set, just like being a kid in the playground with your building blocks. For the foreground exposure, you can see I've got two lights going. When you have two lights going, then ratios become active. They become part of your language of the location. If they were both equal power, that would be a 1-to-1 lighting ratio. If my main light was twice as powerful as my fill light, that would be a 2-to-1. But here's the thing I would urge. Don't get hung up on the numbers. What you're really looking for in lighting something or someone is an emotionally beautiful response to the scene at hand. It's not numeric, it's emotional, it's creative. So when I have one light, okay, in a TTL fashion, I'm governing the power of that light via my flash exposure control on the camera. I'm not using the air remote. The air remote in a one light scenario is a translator. It's taking the Nikon TTL commands, translating them to the Profoto TTL commands, enabling them to speak to each other. When I start to go into multiple lights, how I judge the power of those lights or how I set that up is via the air remote. In this system, the groups A, B, and C are TTL. The groups D, E, and F are manual. So I have my background lights now set up on group 1D. They are fixed. They are manual. They're not going to change. My foreground lights are an A and B, and they are ratioed against each other, firing TTL. Once I set those ratios, the ratios remain fixed. This will govern the specific exposure of each light. Then I can go into the camera and govern the exposure of the entire scene via the flash exposure that's available to me on the camera. I find where I am in TTL. My first instinct, use TTL flash, get there, you see the parameters, you see what the light is doing. All of that discovery process is a really, really easy way to go if you're using TTL. But then say, for instance, you want to lock down and you want to keep your subject for 100 or 200 frames in the same position, in the same environment. Well, TTL can vary. It's the nature of the beast, right? So what you can do is if you get that nice exposure you like in the TTL discovery process, all you gotta do is flip your air remote over to manual and it engages a thing called flash lock. So at that point, the flash value is set. Your TTL exposure looks good, flip it to manual, it stays the same. The power level is the same and you just run.